I'm not going to let anybody in this country put that proverbial political gun to my head and tell me you got to go.
The Prime Minister will not be held as a political hostage.
I do not explain to you what I saw.
Find out what has the Minister of National Security speechless.
And a forensic expert on the stand today in the Vasily murder trial. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie challenging those who plan to oppose him for the leader to make their intentions known and then do the honorable thing. Good evening, everyone. I'm Charisma Robinson.
And I'm Chris Saunders. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight in his continued quest to ensure he has the support of all levels within the Progressive Liberal Party. The nation's leader is checking stock at various branches and groupings as he prepares for possible re-election in early November. In fact, it was the first time since announcing his re-election bid that Mr. Christie addressed the leadership race head-on. It would also be the first time he responded to comments about the possibility of his deputy challenging him. That story tonight from Clint Watson.
Harry Gladstone Christie will be the leader of the Progressive Liberal Party.
And with that, the nation's leader rallying another large group of supporters, this time within the women's branch of the Progressive Liberal Party at their special meeting Sunday afternoon. But he's hoping that what has begun as a campaign for leadership does not necessarily have to continue as one, with speculation that he may be challenged by his own deputy.
I do not yet want to believe that I'm in a campaign. I do not want to believe that given the troubles, the trials and tribulations that grip this country, that a Progressive Liberal Party, which after some years of promise of a convention, that instead we are going to subject ourselves to a major divisive race.
And while he's confident that he will be victorious, he prefers placing his energy at this time on the twin problems of unemployment and crime. Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie was clear to acknowledge there are many in the PLP capable of leading and representing the country.
Every young man in our party has a right to aspire to being the leader and to being a part of the leadership. And we must continue to encourage that right. But whatever we do, it has to be done the right way.
The Prime Minister says there is a lot in the pipeline for the country, but it requires time to get it done. And while some may be anxious, he warns that they must proceed with care. He's pleased that they're getting it done, and he's hoping to have the opportunity to continue.
I'm not going to let anybody in this country put that proverbial political gun to my head and tell me you got to go. That's not going to happen.
Following his address, Mr. Christie told reporters he hopes his Deputy Prime Minister, Philip Davis, would not challenge him because of the confidence he has reposed in appointing him to such a high post in his cabinet.
My Deputy Prime Minister and have not given me any notice of their intention to do so. And secondly, he is a long personal friend and the person who has given me unstinting support.
At Gambler House, Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.
Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie is in New York this evening for talks with officials of China Construction America. That's the general contractor of Baha Mar. Resort officials have blamed the construction company for the numerous delays in opening. But Prime Minister Christie hopes to get those talks back on track so that work can resume.
having a meeting with the construction company chairman who's flown to New York to be able to see if I could persuade them to begin construction and finish this thing by the end of the year.
National Security Minister, the Honorable Dr. Bernard Nottage, accompanied by Commissioner of Police Allison Greenslade and officials from Urban Renewal, were on the ground in Camp Road today to hear the concerns of residents as they also seek to address the root causes of crime. The Commissioner of Police said today that although law enforcement is doing its part to fight crime, police alone cannot solve the problem. Cleopatra Murphy has the details.
Commissioner of Police Allison Greenslade says as long as young men walk around with guns and nothing is done to keep them behind bars, the body count will continue to rise.
Something must be done to get those people out of communities and where they belong until they have their day in court. It cannot be right for a young man to walk around the streets in New Providence with an illegal firearm, to be arrested, and a few days later he's waving at the same officers that arrested him as if nothing has happened. There's something wrong with that equation. All right, that's not a mean-spirited statement, it's just a statement of fact.
Greenslade, along with the National Security Minister, the Honorable Dr. Bernard Nottage, Urban Renewal co-chairs, and officers were conducting a walkabout in the Camp Road area on Monday. He says despite the murder count of 110, law enforcement are working like crazy to get a handle on crime. The police chief, who called for stricter gun laws last week, says police need support after they make arrests, reiterating that an accused murderer should not be released to do it again.
The conversation should not be police-centric. It cannot be police-centric. This has to be about our children who are criminals, who do not respect us as their parents, do not respect anyone in communities, do not respect pastors, do not respect the criminal justice system, and they are moving about with perceived immunity.
As evidenced by the gang insignia that was visible on a wall during the walkabout, Greenslade says gangs are a major issue in Camp Road that must be addressed through interventions. It is something Pastor Anthony Williams also calls for, noting that young children are getting involved, and he hears them shouting one order.
We need some recognition inside this community. We don't have it. They go on basketball court, mingle with the bigger boys, and when you look, they start doing the things the bigger boys them teaching them. So we need something in the community to work with our kids.
Dr. Nottage says many residents also expressed concerns about gunshots going off at night. He says unemployment is another issue that is rampant in the community. Nottage intends to speak with government to ask that it subsidize businesses to hire unemployed residents.
The short-term impact is to evaluate what's going on, to discuss it with the residents, and to see if we can encourage the businesses to help us to get jobs on these people.
Dr. Nottage says government intends to use all its human resources as they hit crime hotspots throughout the island. He says unless the root causes of crime are addressed, officials will not be able to have any meaningful impacts. Cleopatra Murphy, ZNS Network News.
What started as really a community walkabout turned into a turnabout for a family of 6 today. Minister of National Security, Honorable Dr. Bernard Nottage, inspected a house to Balls Alley off Shirley Street where a woman and 5 school children live. The floors are falling apart. In the day, sunlight slips through the ceiling, when during showers, the rain drenches the family. The minister passed the house and could not believe people actually live there. But he was determined to get them out as early as tonight and get the home fixed or demolished and rebuilt.
An adult and 5 children living in there. 4 of these children go to Uriah McPhee School and one of them goes to L.W. Young. I don't know how to explain to you what I saw, but you know, there's no kitchen, there's no toilet, there are 3 or 4 rooms, there's almost virtually very little floor. There's a huge hole in the roof. I asked the lady what does she do when it rains. She says she puts down buckets, but I don't care how many buckets she put down. She couldn't catch all the water that comes through in the rain. She says she's been living in this house for 20 years. Okay? And to be honest with you, it is unacceptable to me that any Bahamian should be living anywhere in the Bahamas in accommodation such as this.
Assistant Commissioner of Police Stephen Dean says this effort to restore dignity to that family shows that urban renewal is clearly making an impact in the community.
Urban Renewal has taken an aggressive approach to addressing those issues that confront us on a daily basis. We know from a perspective there's a correlation between unemployment, joblessness, and living condition that contributes to crime. So what we have done today, led by our Honorable Minister, we have taken an aggressive approach by religious leaders in this community and from other communities and some community-minded persons, the whole hub. So we believe that we cannot work in isolation. We work as a collective body to address the situations that confront our people.
We are about moving in our community, and as the minister has mentioned, this is just the first of many walkabouts and efforts that are being geared. And if we could only help this one person, this family in this house, then it would have been worth it for us to walk and to be a part of this.
Two brothers before the court for that murder in Palm Key. However, their attorney makes an interesting request. We'll have those details coming up in the Bahamas tonight.
This segment of the news is brought to you by Platinum Bride Couture, downtown Nassau on Parliament Street. Begin your happily ever after at Platinum Bride Couture.